shit. Here we go again.
Now that we've reached another milestone in the channel, it's time for some grade A, 100% original content, never before seen, first shot Q&A on YouTube ever. I asked all the real ones to ask me some questions. It's a beautiful day to be fat and healthy mentally, so Sammy T-Rex asks, what fact surprised you when you first of all, Sammy, already being deceptive. You're clearly not a T-Rex. You're clearly a normal female. What fact surprised you when you first heard it, and best advice anyone ever gave you? The fact that surprised me when I first heard it was Kanye telling us in Ye that none of us would be there without Kanye. Best advice anybody ever gave me is the simple phrase, it is what it is. If you learn to accept things for the way they are, without getting in your head or trying to be upset, trying to change the shit, or getting outraged, life just becomes more simple. Tabby asks, why did we make a sex tape? Alright, so when a king meets another king. Sauce Child asks 2 questions. What happened to the podcast? Number 2, when will you accept that Dialect is the pinnacle of music? Nothing happened to the podcast. The podcast just turned into the Wrap It Up series. As for accepting Dialect as the pinnacle of all music, I see you want to get blocked, so let's go ahead. I robo-train at, well, I feel like I'm pronouncing that wrong. Actually, what the fuck? I like running trains, maybe? That's what that means? Who are your favorite alternative artists or artists outside of hip-hop? Doesn't have to be completely alternative. FKA Twigs. That's my bitch. Noah J asks, what's your favorite genre of music besides hip-hop? And do you have a favorite artist of that genre? Honestly, besides hip-hop, my favorite genre would probably be folk music. And I would say folk because it's the father of country. But I like folk more because it's just so much more organic. It's a genre of music that completely trims the fat, and it's literally its bare essentials, you know, and that's what I like about it. It's so homegrown and untouched. I feel so pure when I'm listening to folk music. And as far as having a favorite, I mean, there are a lot in there, but I would say that the one that I look forward to the most when they release music is the Fleet Foxes. Dylan Jackson asks, why don't you call anymore? The kid CDTV asks, is there going to be a toe reveal? Listen, I don't know where this thing started that I don't have legs, but I do squats now and my thighs are feeling it. So I don't really think any of y'all have any room to say anything when y'all walking on sticks. I always have a category for the anonymous questions. So someone asks how old I am. Old enough. Oh, brother, this guy's... Jake Collin asks, how was life growing up in Detroit? Like life growing up anywhere else, just a much higher crime rate. Honestly, if you grew up near Metatol, not far from the Detroit popcorn, that shit was lit over there. It used to be. Now, it's a fucking ghost town, but before, shit was fire. What artists do you find severely overrated or just can't get into? Probably Gunna. I'm definitely gonna say Gunna. What age did you get into rap and what song put you on heavy? See, there's this miscommunication of me and rap music as though I started listening to rap in like 2016, when that's not the case. Rap just hasn't always been my main genre. I just listened to rap casually throughout my life, so I wouldn't say I got like into rap until I was maybe 14 or so, but I'd been listening to it, you know, it was been around my whole life. And as far as what song got me into it, probably some T.I. shit, some Southern shit at the time that really, like, that's when, like, hip-hop, especially from the South, was starting to boom up on the radio and everything, too. So that's probably when I started, like, really getting into it heavy. Diego asks, where's the meat? What are some rappers you used to like but now make you completely embarrassed that you liked them in the first place? I won't really say that I'm embarrassed to have liked these artists, but they definitely devolved to me. Artists like Logic and Eminem, who I was extreme fans of in the earlier part of their career, that just started making music that didn't really do it for me anymore. But I'm not embarrassed to say I ever liked their music in the first place, because they did release a good amount of shit that I enjoyed. But I definitely probably would have been a fan of somebody like NF when I was 12. Or fucking Whit Lowry. What's your workout like? Specific workouts, routines, diet, etc. I eat a shit ton of almonds. I try to get my calories between like 2,700 and 3,100 per day, even though that's rough enough, especially with my schedule and everything. Some of my main or favorite workouts are the deadlift, the squats, the bench press, doing curls, things like that. I got like a 275 max deadlift so far, like a 215 squat max, and about 150 max, whatever the fuck it is, bench right now. But almonds are like my best friend because they have a shit ton of fat, tons of calories if you eat a good amount of them, and you can just eat them all the time and it just feels like you're eating nothing. I work out for 3 days a week, about an hour for each workout, and I put legs and back in the same day, and that's pretty much it. Fred asks, what do your tattoos mean? This is really a representation of how time is such a big thing in my life, and these are the initials of a friend of mine, and this water. If you could make a collab album with 3 artists all from different genres, who would you pick and why? Definitely get Fleet Foxes for the folk side of it, Solange for the R&B side of it, and probably Young Thug for the yodeling. I would need that. Young Thug from rap, Solange from R&B, Fleet Foxes for the folk aspect, and we just make a beautiful fucking song. Young Thug's voice has so much eccentricity and vocal unpredictability to it that will work over a very natural homegrown instrumental, with Solange giving these R&B vocals in the background. Why did you get lung surgery, and what was that experience like? Also, any tips for overcoming the fear of failure, or worse, nonsensical mediocrity? I read that wrong. Wow. I keep saying that I want to tell this story, but I want to tell it in a different way, so I'm just going to give you like really brief analysis of what happened. Basically, I was running, came back, felt like somebody shot me in the chest with a flaming arrow laced with poison, and I immediately went pale. I couldn't breathe. I almost fell out. I went to the fucking bathroom to look at my face, and I'm usually a guy with some color to me. You know, I'm not dark, but I'm not too light, so I can generally tell when I have like a really good tan going on or something like that. And it was in the middle or just about to start spring. So I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I looked at my face and there was like no color in it. I was getting shook, and I still decided for some reason it was a good idea to go to sleep like that. Woke up, my back was stinging, got up, couldn't breathe, tried to breathe, it was hurting. I needed to go to the hospital, went to the hospital. They looked me in my eyes, told me, hey, you gonna die unless we open you up and get in there. And I was like, yo, what the fuck, shit. Basically, what I was experiencing was a tension pneumothorax, which is a medical term for a collapsed lung, and it was all on this one side. It kind of felt like it was a heart attack because my shoulder was in pain too. It was a bad day. That was like in 2014 in May. Even shittier, we had a procedure before we had a surgery. So we didn't get to the point where I was asked if I wanted to do a surgery until 2 days later. I had to stay over the weekend, and then I had the surgery that Tuesday. Ended up staying in the hospital for almost 10 days. And time goes by so slow when you're in the hospital. I had like these big ass tubes in me. They had to take them out after the healing was done. When they took them out, they came back in a frantic because they were like, oh shit, we think more air might have got in there. Air is basically what got trapped in my pleural cavity, which is the space in between my chest wall and my lung. That's just not fun. Recovery time for that was about 6 to 8 months, and that's honestly how I found a massive love for researching old styles of hip hop and getting into like more obscure things on the internet, because the internet was my best friend when I was finishing up my last semester of high school through online. I couldn't go anywhere, so I didn't have any other way to complete my schooling than finishing it through online means. So Google was my best friend in that, and I had a music class at the same time, which allowed me to go into all these different spaces and try to find this, try to find that, and link it to like a point that I was trying to make. I wrote this one paper dissecting everything that was in that one track from The Dark Knight, Watch the World Burn, from Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard, I think his name is. Two amazing composers that make some of the greatest movie soundtracks of all time. As far as overcoming fear of, you know, mediocrity, that is completely what you define it as. I've learned to stop giving a shit about what other people classify as mediocre or successful, as long as I'm doing what makes sense for me to be doing, and at least mentally I can justify what I'm doing, and that justification links to my other morality, and it links to the other things that I think make sense. then I'm going to keep doing it. But you always have to have a basis or a standard for what you view as mediocre or successful, because then if you are less than that, you can always be honest and say, I need to be doing better. But you only fail when you don't try, and if you're not trying, then you're not making progress. So what are you really doing if you're afraid? You have nothing to lose when you try something new. You just only have information and insight to gain, and that's what you need in order to become quote-unquote successful. And I don't mean just slap yourself on the wrist and tell yourself, well, you didn't do a good job. I mean actually issue yourself a punishment. Part of the reason that humans grow up and become so arrogant is that we no longer have anyone to give us parental guidance. We don't have anyone to give us a punishment when we don't do something that we're supposed to do, so we then have to police ourselves. One of the reasons people don't improve upon their behavior is because they don't give themselves a punishment worthy of what the fuck they did wrong. If you do something incredibly fucked up, the max that you're gonna do to yourself is make yourself feel a little bit bad mentally, but you're not gonna do anything to physically discomfort yourself. You're not gonna, make sure that your finances take a hit because you did something you weren't supposed to do, something that's actually gonna hurt you. In all honesty, we're way too easy on ourselves on a consistent basis, so the idea of mediocrity is always at the back of our minds because we feel guilty about not giving ourselves the work that we know we're supposed to get. I mean, let's be honest. What's the worst thing that you're gonna do to yourself when you don't reach your goal? What? Tell yourself something nice to feel better? That's not a punishment. That's a fucking pat on the back. You didn't give your mom that bullshit of I'm gonna do better next time when your grade point average was under a 3.0. Because we all know if you lived with a single mom, the beatings were just twice as bad. They just were. Now, I'm not trying to say here that punishments bring the best thing out of people, but it damn sure beats having no consequence when you're already doing mediocre. The best treatment for somebody living in a state of mediocrity isn't to pat them on the back. You need to be afraid of what you're going to do to you to make up for your mediocrity. But in reality, I can say that as much as I want, there's not gonna be a punishment steep or hard enough to make someone not wanna fuck up because we keep doing it. Luke asks, the hardest decision in your life, and did you make the right one? There have been very hard decisions I've had to make for other people, involving other people, that affected me as well, but as far as the thing that's held me together or helped me go further in life later, I'm gonna stick to a more selfish answer, which will probably be my decision to consider what I think of me more important than what others think of me. I find a lot of time that, and I don't mean like be one of those dudes that's like, oh, I don't give a fuck about anything, oh my god. I mean be one of those people that genuinely can construct and form a moral compass for yourself. And if you aren't abiding by that moral compass, then you are deserving of punishment, or you can consider yourself doing worse or being trash at that point. But when you're policed by society and you allow them to create a moral compass for you, you tend to give these very safe responses to everything, being very fake. And just to be honest with yourself feels good. It just feels natural. It feels like you're not trying. It feels like authentic. It feels like you're being you. And to do that was just something that I needed to do. And it ended up helping me later on in life. Now you don't have to go into conversations with people worrying about if you're gonna say the right thing or not. Like, I'm me. If you don't like me, fine. If you love me, cool. I thought you might. Nicholas12 asks, if you could have all the funding needed to do anything you want creatively, what would it be? All right, so the two dreams that I've always had when I was younger was building, and if it wasn't building, it was directing, but in some way just having the control over the end all of a story. And I found that I could have that when it came to architecture, and I found that I could have that when it came to directing, because in both of those occupations you have to see it in your mind before it actually comes to fruition. You have to see it in your mental before you can see it physically. And I think both of those share that common goal. So that's why I kind of found a deep interest in photography, because I could kind of see things that appear different after post-processing of an image. I could see them appearing that way on the screen before I took the picture. And the lens can change and distort an image. The lens can, you can play around with the depth of field. You can add bokeh. It's so much that you can do with photography, and to make an image pop beyond what someone just casually sees while they're taking a stroll. But to go back to the architecture and the directing, I just find that having those two avenues to express yourself creatively, have these stories that you can write about, fictional situations and characters. Like there's endless possibilities, and I would love to do that. I think I would love to make movies, or I would love to build homes. Those are the two things that I think my mind, just talking about those two things makes me happy. But then the lazy part of my brain gets in there, and I'm like, well, then I gotta write a fucking script, and I gotta hire actors that are actually good and not coming out of the fucking Broadway thinking that they're the next Leonardo DiCaprio. Did you see On My Block season 2? The acting was fucking atrocious. I don't want to get that complacent. How you so fine? Did drinking so much water, I'm assuming is what you meant, make you so fine? Hey, man. You watched the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. Yes, greatest Dragon Ball movie of all time. The animation was gorgeous. The voice acting was beautiful in English and in Japanese. I thought it was great. Vegeta finally didn't get bodied in a fight for once. Goku took the brunt of that ass kicking. I'm so happy. Are you living in a simulate? Look, we're not doing that this video. Anthony Cole asks, who you got, Rock Lee or Neji? Both at their max. Rock Lee would have beat the fuck out of Neji, okay? RIP Neji, but like, he wasn't fucking with Rock Lee with the 6 inner gates unleashed. Ogre asks, why did you first start doing reaction reviews? In the beginning, there was nothing. No. In the beginning, I started doing it because I liked the review format, but I didn't like not knowing how someone initially took something when they were talking about it after. And I know it makes a ton of sense to listen to something multiple times and then give your take on it, but sometimes I can make some people feel like the review is somewhat disingenuous because you don't know what this person's thoughts were influenced by in that time that they were listening to the music. And of course, everyone can say that their thoughts were influenced by absolutely nothing, but you don't know that. And not knowing that is kind of what makes it a little hard to take in all the time. You just hope that the people that you follow and you subscribe to are being genuine in what they say in regards to how they took an album in. Plus, like I said, I felt like the information I was getting from reviews at that time was just so obvious that I didn't really need to wait a couple days for somebody to give their thoughts on it, and I could just say how I felt about it. But there are some albums that come out that I just don't feel like making a reaction for, which is why some of them just have review, and some of them that need a review just to go into the intricacies of it. Like, there's no reason that there should ever be a reaction to Lupe Fiasco's Drogas Wave, but that required extreme nuance and in-depth to even talk about. Sabrina asks, do you have any go-to sad songs or crying songs, and if so, what are they? I don't really have any songs that make me cry, but there is Marvin Gaye, Trouble Man, that brings back literally every fear, bad emotion, and good time I had with, you know, some of my friends that are deceased now and some earlier memories. I don't know why that song in particular, but that's the one. If you want to like get me in my feelings and in my emotions and just sitting back and just not able to really do anything else really for a little bit, that's the song you play. What happened to the gaming channel? The gaming channel is still going strong, right? I've been trying to manage my time better. The gaming channel is still going strong. I'm gonna continue Smash Brothers. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I deleted Red Dead, and I'm probably not gonna finish Kingdom Hearts, but it's okay. I'm gonna finish Smash Brothers, the World of Light, and then I'm gonna continue. All right, for those of you who don't know, I have a gaming channel. It's called Shawn Cena. You can go subscribe if you want to. I'll be active on there. I swear. I'm gonna stay there. I'm gonna stay on it this time. I swear. How big will your wee wee be when the next Logic single comes out? Not gonna lie, it's probably gonna be pretty soft based off what he's been releasing so far. No, I didn't change shirts. What are you talking about? What did you do when you had your first crush? Stared awkwardly until she walked over and talked to me. It's actually how I got my third girlfriend. Awkwardly staring until she noticed that I was actually kind of cute and came over and said, hey. Trying to fuck. And this is gonna be the final question. Sincere asks, what about your channel have you been most and least proud of in terms of your growing success? Well, I've been least proud of in the beginning of my channel how close-minded to a lot of shit I was in regards to the evolution, I guess, of hip-hop for a little bit, and just in how rigid and simplistic, I guess, the formula that I had was, you know, back then. And I say that because I kind of grew this bitterness towards the audience that was requesting new shit, because I wasn't doing anything more with the channel other than putting out a reaction review video. And even to the extent that it was a review was a far-fetched. So I was just feeling bored with the channel after a little while. So that was probably the least proud, I guess I could say I was, of the channel, was just how stale it started to become after a little bit. And then I tried to transition and do things a different way through 2017, which is really a rough patch for me because it was like it was hard to kind of transition the channel from just react review into other discussion videos and topics. And then when those discussion videos and topics came out, they were extremely rigid and boring and not nuanced in any way really. So I had to develop a formula. I had to develop my own style for that. But I'm only not proud of the earlier parts of the channel because that's what needed to occur. I had to go through the rough period in transitioning to get into a point where I was making more enjoyable content, at least in my opinion. But I knew from the very beginning that the whole react review thing wasn't going to last forever as far as how I was going to introduce my opinions musically. So I kind of wanted to introduce it in a better, more time effective, less obvious kind of way. So now when I do it, I don't really feel like it's something I gotta do, like, oh man, I gotta do this again, or I'm doing this again. It's just based purely off of how I feel about the record that's coming out, what my anticipation is for the record, and how badly I want to listen to it and everything like that. That determines whether or not it gets a reaction and a review, as opposed to people just asking for it, because it might not be in my best interest to post something if I don't really want to post it just because people ask for it. If I'm not genuinely into it, I'm not genuinely going to be into it. And that's why I've kind of laid out these other forms of content on the channel for me to express myself and my opinions through the playlist videos, through the replay videos, through these news and topic related videos. They offer a better space for me to release those opinions as opposed to just running a review react channel. So, you know, that's just where I'm at with it. And you guys seem to love those videos too, so I'm happy about that. But it's only because of you guys that it reached 500,000, and the more and more we continue, the more and more we'll grow. You know, your critique of me is good for my growth, and I just think I want to keep the ball rolling with that. I kind of want to evolve the content even more, so if I can, let me know of new ways you think that I could do that. But I'm still working on some other stuff behind the scenes as well. And I also, for those of you who wanted to know about merchandise, I get it. People want merchandise. It's the thing it's the YouTuber thing to do, but I want you to wear something that has nothing to do with me. I don't want you to buy something because it's coming from me. I want you to buy it because you know it's going to be a good product. And certain things I buy them because they feel nice. I buy them because they fit well. I buy them because they look good with my style. And that's kind of what I would like to sell if I had to sell clothing to people. And I don't want it to be, you know, I don't want myself to be the focal point of it. So I wouldn't put my name on it. There might be a saying or something, but it has to look beautiful on the shirt. It has to look beautiful. It has to go with the design well. And it can't be cheap fabric. You know, it has to look good. So I'll work on that at some point. But just know I'm going to put a lot of time into it. It's not going to be no generic shit that, you know, okay, let's go buy these $2 shirts and then put a, you know, stamp on it and ship them out. Like, I don't want to do that. So, but thank you, because all your support means a ton. It means a lot. And, yeah, I mean, let's just keep growing. I'm done setting goals because there isn't one. Let's just keep growing. Thank you for watching. As always, it's been me, and I'll see you next time. I'm out. Lit replay is coming soon, and a bunch of other stuff. Bye.